So when I play this musical motif on my keyboard, most of you will recognize this as the famous melody to Ludwig van Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. And really the whole hour-long symphony is derived from this central musical idea that he crafts throughout the entire symphony. And really all good composers know how to develop a musical idea to its fullest potential. And crafting a whole piece from a single motif is what makes a piece sound really cohesive and unified. So one of the skills I struggle with the most is trying to take a musical idea and develop it throughout the entire piece. So I'm going to show you a few strategies and techniques to develop a musical idea as thoroughly as possible. And really what this is called in the composing world is thematic or motivic development. And this list isn't exhaustive. It doesn't cover every single subcategory of development. It's pretty much a great way to show non-musical audiences how we can develop musical ideas as composers. So keep that in mind as we continue the video. Part 1. Rhythmic development. So to demonstrate how we can develop a motif in this video, we're going to be using the famous lick. You know, it's a standard in jazz and all of popular culture, so that's what we're going to use to develop with in this video, and we're going to use a multitude of techniques, and we're just going to be covering the rhythmic development side of it and also some melodic development. So the first strategy we can use in the rhythmic development category is what's called augmentation. And augmentation is when we take a theme, and we can slow it down. So in this case, we're going to double the note values to make it twice as long. So it might just seem like the tempo slows down, but really what we did here is we just lengthen those note values to make it twice as long, and that's what augmentation does. Next up we have diminution. This is the complete opposite. This is where we're going to speed up the note values, and in this case I'm just going to double the actually shorten the note values by half, so it's twice as fast. Now in metric displacement, we're going to take the horizontal position of our theme, which is just moving it from left to right, and we're just going to displace it a little bit so that the strong beats, which are usually 1 and 3 in a 4/4 time signature, and we're going to change it to like weak beats, for example, which are beats 2 and 4. And this kind of sounds like syncopation in a way, is where we play with those strong and weak beats, but here we're pretty much just shifting the theme to different parts horizontally. And this is a similar one, accentuation. This is where we're going to accent or put emphasis on certain parts of the theme, so just certain notes, and this can be done through using dynamics, texture, some orchestration, and yeah, so there's two different subcategories of accentuation. So the first one is called straight, and this is where we're going to be accenting the strong beats, like I mentioned, beats 1 and 3, for example. And then we have syncopated, which is going to be accenting the weak beats. So the last one we're going to talk about is the time signature change, and we can develop a melody by changing the time signature it's in. In this video, we're going to be talking about 3 varieties of time signatures, and we have the simple, complex, and compound time signatures, and they're all based on different groupings of beats. So simple is going to be grouped in 2. Compound is groups of 3, and then complex is groups of 2 and 3. So it depends. The third category is a little more variable because you can group them any way you want. Part 2, melodic development. So the first one we're going to talk about is inversion, and it's basically taking a melody and flipping it upside down. And to do that, we have to flip the interval quality as well as the interval number. So I'm going to leave some resources down below if you actually want to learn how to properly do these inversions and things like that, because I will not cover that in this video. So we're going to talk about retrograde now. This is when we take a melody and mirror it left to right, and this can be done by mirroring its rhythmic values or its pitches, and you can do either or. Now fragmentation is where we're going to take some of the elements of the theme and we're just going to use it and just leave out some parts of it. So fragments are just these little parts of the melody. For example, in the lick, we're just going to use the first 3, and that is my fragment, and you can use that in any context you want. Permutation is the next one. It's similar. We're going to take some elements of the theme, and we can use them in any which way we want. In this case, permutation is using the theme and mixing it up in some ways. For example, so I just alternate some of the theme, use the same notes, but just switch them up and put them in different places. And you can do this with the pitches, or you can switch up the rhythms too. Sequencing is next. It's also similar to this, is when we take a certain part. Again, I use like the first 3 notes and I modulate them up. Not modulate, but I kind of just use them in 3 iterations, and this is just called sequencing. And usually sequencing, there are 3 different iterations, and sometimes they can modulate, but yeah, you just kind of use them all in a row. Now, expansion and contraction is basically when we have a leap in the music. We're gonna go either a bigger leap or take a smaller leap, and the bigger leap is called expansion and the smaller leap is called contraction, and we have to make sure we're going in the same direction, but we can change the quality or just the interval number. Embellishment is basically adding decorative notes to a melody, and in my case I just use a ton of appoggiaturas and have a mordant to spice it up a little bit. And so reduction is when we take some notes out of the melody to reveal just the deep structure, and this can be really helpful in like a big orchestral 2D where you have like low brass playing the basic outline of the melody without all the like passing tones, for example, and it just reveals the basic structure of it. So if you're just beginning composing and you want to learn some good beginner tips, I just released a video last week on 5 great beginner tips for composers, so check that out if you want some great advice. Also, right below the like button, I have a link to my website where you can take private lessons from me if you want to grow your skills and make it into a good music school or just become a better composer in general. I'd be all online through Zoom, and we can talk more. Just contact me through my website. Anyways, thanks for watching and keep writing.